Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique and I appreciate you joining me here. I do astrology and tarot every lunation cycle, and I appreciate you coming here because I know that we all have very busy lives, and I always like to tune into the energies that are happening above in the heavens. And I believe that everything that happens above, so below, so everything that happens in our universe, the other planets, our moon, anything that is happening in the heavens definitely is affecting us here on Earth. So I appreciate you joining me. If you haven't come here before, this is where I tap into my spiritual energies, but I also look at what is happening with our own moon, as well as what is happening to the other planets that are affecting Earth and how we are dealing with the energies. So thank you so much. So today we are actually talking about the full moon in Libra at 19 degrees on April 7th at 10:34 p.m. Eastern Time. And today I actually pulled the Justice card in tarot because she is very representative of this Libra energy that we're going to come into. And Justice is the number 11 tarot card, major arcana card in the tarot. And Justice is all about balance, and that is really indicative of what Libra represents. Relationships, how do we balance the yin and the yang of our lives? How do we balance people? How do we balance work, career with home life? And this full moon is really going to illuminate something in your life, because the full moon, remember, is when the moon is sitting across the sky from the sun. And the sun right now is in Aries, which is highlighting the moon in Libra. So you're going to find in your life around this April 7th time, and for 2 weeks, you're going to be finding that you're going to have to find a balance between like that fiery initiative, want to do things energy of Aries, but you're also going to find you need to find some balance with that full moon in Libra. So I want you to start thinking about some ways in your life that you feel like you need balance. What is it that very much feels off balance? I know at the time of this recording, we are very entrenched in the coronavirus and health issues, and how do we balance working from home? How do we balance just the health concerns of our society? It definitely is a very uneasy time, and I think that the universe is asking all of us to find balance where you can. And I think that also, if you look back on the new moon in Libra video that was back on September 28th, 2019 at 5 degrees Libra, that new moon could have brought up information that was maybe new things that you wanted to start finding balance, whether it was love, emotional energy, colleagues at work, things that you were trying to find balance then. If you look back on that video, you might actually be coming to a full culmination, or things might be ending that started at that cycle back in September of 2019. So there's lots of air energy with Libra, and its ruling planet is Venus. And Venus right now is in Gemini and will remain there until August of 2020. So what this means is Gemini is all about communication, anything dealing with how we interact with people, how we talk socially, but also mentally, how do we feel about duality, because Gemini is the sign of the twins. So there's this energy at this full moon in Libra of really being able to become into balance with what do we how do we take our mindset and be able to balance it with like our emotional energy? And I think that that's really going to be a challenge at this full moon in Libra, because Venus is very social and wants to learn when she's in Gemini, and she wants to be communicating and connecting and learning. So conversations around seeking more out of life versus doing too much, like getting too much data and too much information. Like we're all like glued to, you know, our news alerts about what's going on in our world, what closures there are, what's going on with unemployment. It's like there's this balance that we all need between wanting to communicate with that Gemini, but then maybe getting too much information. And it's just kind of like, how do we balance? So I know for myself, I've been telling myself, well, I want to know what's going on, but I don't want to know too much where I'm consistently getting worried, consistently like focusing on, oh no, what's next? So I have on my local news kind of like alerts on my phone, but I only look at it when I'm ready, as opposed to me feeling like I need to sit there at the TV and having it going on, you know, 24/7. I tell myself, okay, maybe in the morning you look at what's new, maybe midday you look at the alerts, and then if you want to find out more, you go deeper. I click on the alerts, etc. So I definitely think that this new moon, or I should say this full moon in Libra, is going to be one that you're finding out some areas of your life that you might need to not only balance, but also things might be coming out that you might need to change course, if you will. Now, some other things that are going on is Mars and Saturn are both trining Venus in Aquarius. So there's going to be a cerebral mental energy around this full moon in Libra. So think about, what are you committing to and what conversations need to be had in your mind, with friends, with colleagues. There definitely is a way that maybe you need to think through things in a different way. Maybe you need to go about how you are communicating with people in a different way. I know that this health crisis has, you know, most of the world staying indoors. So we all have had to find new ways to communicate with colleagues, with friends. Maybe you're doing video conferencing, Zooming, maybe you're FaceTiming more often. So I'm going to shuffle these cards and we're going to do a past, present, and future. And I want you to think through, what area of your life do you need more balance? Because this is definitely going to be an energy that could be difficult for some, because balance is not always easy to achieve. And especially when your mind is always racing with all of this Venusian energy, you know, around Venus, but also, like I said, the Gemini energy is about communication. So you're going to really need to focus, if you will, and figure out how can you balance your mind with all of the information that's out there. And then even people, I think that there's another level of like, how do I, you know, some of us have those kind of Debbie Downer friends who are like consistently like sharing all of their information. You're just like on information overload. So I think that that's another thing to think about, is how do you keep yourself sane while amongst, you know, family members or friends that are maybe, you know, not on the same wavelength as you. So let's pull a past, present, and future and see what we are working with here. Okay, so we have Knight of Coins in reverse in the past, Two of Swords in the present, and I see the Libra there. And then we have a Six of Coins in reverse. And on the bottom of the deck, I see Queen of Cups in reverse. And then we will pull some clarifier cards too. Okay, so let's start with the Queen of Cups in reverse. So the Queen of Cups is this energy of, I always think of her as the motherly figure, where she has her cup and she definitely is wise. She is water energy. So she definitely is that emotional caregiver. She also can be very, she's not like the Queen of Swords that is like really to the point and harsh and kind of like cuts through everything and is very cerebral and mental. The Queen of Cups tends to be more of this motherly figure who wants to help you with anything you need. So this could be you're dealing with water energy or a water sign. You could be dealing with a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. But this can also be you. This could be you caring for your family, or you worried about, your loved ones who, might be in a tough time right now. I know a lot of people are worried about their jobs. A lot of people are worried about their family or their care. A lot of people are caregivers at this time. And so I think that this is this energy of like being able to connect with people, being able to emotionally be supportive at this time. And you can see around her neck, she's actually wearing the Pisces sign of water. So I think that definitely is also indicative of closures. Remember, full moons can bring upon closures or things that need to come to an end, or culminations. Like I said, look back at that new moon in Libra video that will be down in the playlist, because I think that many of us are going to see themes that back in September of 2019 are now coming to fruition or have come their full cycle, and maybe it's time to end. And Pisces is definitely one of those very emotional, very energy driven around emotions. So I think the Queen of Cups in reverse, though, is saying there may be areas that you need to pull back on. There may be energies of people or emotional energy that you need to find more balance, and it might not be time to be quite so emotional, or maybe there are people in your life that you need to pull back from. So I think that Queen of Cups in reverse is kind of like this energy of like these motherly type of people around us or ourselves. We might find ourselves being too emotionally attached or too into other people's business or other people's lives. So watch that Queen of Cups energy throughout this next lunation cycle of the full moon in Libra. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it definitely is something to watch, because we might not be seeking out the balance that we need at this time. So in the past, we have the Knight of Coins in reverse. And the Knight of Coins is, you can see that, I'm going to actually show you what deck I'm using. Excuse me. So I'm actually using the Tarot of Dreams deck by Ciro Marchetti, and I just love all of his illustrations. They're very, it's almost like whimsical, but I like how the colors are really rich, and he shows a different side of the tarot. So I really like how he depicts everything. All right, so in the past we have Knight of Coins in reverse, and you can see this knight is on his horse. The horse is rearing to go. The coins obviously are a sign of earth energy. So this can be anything dealing with your time, your resources, anything that is like your possessions. So earth energy, and like if he's rearing to go in the past, this to me is symbolizing in the past you may have been really trying to get a job going. You've been trying to earn more money. You've been trying to climb the corporate ladder. You've been trying to get your possessions or household or things that you hold dear in order. And with it in reverse, it's almost signifying to me that maybe you've been too focused on possessions. You've been too focused on money. You've been too focused on trying to not strike a balance, if you will, between, climbing the corporate ladder, that maybe you have forgotten about your family, or you haven't been going to the gym, or you haven't been connecting with yourself. Like this, to me, the Knight of Coins is like raring to go. Now, it's interesting that he depicts him like up on his hind legs, because in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, the Knight of Pentacles is usually like standing still. And so this one is showing that like he is like fired up, ready to go. He's not like in motion yet, but he's like ready to go. And like I said, the Rider-Waite tarot deck, he's like standing still, like you're waiting for things to come. So I think that's interesting how he depicted it, because maybe there are parts of your life that you're like, you know what, maybe I have been focused too much on my career, making money, stepping on, people's toes to get to what I want. So think about that as you come into this full moon in Libra, because remember that balance is going to be needed at this time. You cannot keep in this cycle. And with it being in reverse, to me, it's signifying like it's time to leave the past in the past. Think about where you've gone, what resources you've been able to accumulate, but then let's move forward. You know what I mean? Like this to me is signifying like it's time to leave that part of us in the past. So in the present is the Two of Swords. And like I was saying when I pulled this card, I think it's interesting that here's the Libra sign. So this is very much in tune with where we are right now in the astrological cycle, where this full moon in Libra is asking us to make a decision. The swords have to do with air energy. The swords have to do with mental clarity, things being confusing, communication. Remember I was saying with the energy of Libra that has a lot of air, Venus is going to be in Gemini. And so this whole summer, because Venus is actually going to go retrograde this summer and stay in Gemini and remain there until August of this year. So there's going to be a lot of mental energy, and the Two of Swords have to do with this duality of not knowing what to choose. And you can see this lady is blindfolded, and she's like feeling like these two swords in her hands and having to use her mental energy and clarity to figure out which way to go, which decision to make, how she needs to proceed forward. So this is going to be it could be stressful, because I mean, dualities are often hard, because you're doing this thing where you're like, well, maybe I should do this. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Well, I haven't thought about this. You know what I mean? You're like going back and forth with yourself. And so this is definitely showing us that through this full moon in Libra cycle, but also, as I said, going through this entire summer, you're going to have repeated themes of like, which way do I need to go? Remember, the air energy can also deal with, you might be dealing with a Gemini or a Libra. You can also be trying to figure out, where is it in your life that you need more balance? Where is it that, trying to teeter between, like I showed you the Justice card in the beginning where she's holding those scales. Like, where is it that you need to focus on what is really important to you, and not focus so much on what's in your mind, but maybe also use your emotional energy like we showed with the Queen of Cups. Maybe you don't need to focus just on your mind in this Libra season, because remember, there's going to be kind of like a tug of war with the information you're receiving from friends, the information you're receiving from the news, the information that you're receiving from your boss, your colleagues, just your community, your neighbors. Like, there's going to be so much tug of war here from a mental position that you're going to have to find ways to find balance. And we've talked about this in previous videos where, self-care is so important at this time. Meditation in the morning or in the evening, whenever you can kind of quiet your mind, exercise, getting out into nature, even if you just take a short walk around your neighborhood. I know most of us are, having to stay at home, but just taking a walk around your yard, taking a walk around a parking lot, taking just a quick walk away from people, obviously, but just being able to focus on yourself so that this Two of Swords energy does not take you down, because it definitely can be an energy of like you're too in your head. And in the future, we have here the Six of Pentacles, or the Six of Coins in this deck. And you can see here, this is actually Taurus energy. And so I think that that's interesting, because Taurus is actually going to be our next astrological sign. Right now we're in Aries season, but Taurus is right around the corner, ruling our possessions, ruling our work, ruling how we look at how we make money, how we make a living, how we focus on things that are resources for us, how we're going to balance our time. And I think it's very interesting that this Six of Coins, you see how he depicted it, it's on the scale, right? And we just talked about how we are in the Libra energy with balance. And so this is showing that this area, and look at that, I didn't even notice that right there. He's actually holding the Libra sign. So I think that that is right there. It's just, I just love how the cards like depict exactly what we need to hear. So it's like this Libra energy is coming through, where he's saying you're going to need to balance your time. You're going to need to balance your possessions. And remember back here on the Knight of Coins, where I was saying you need to leave that in the past. Well, it looks like in the future, that same theme is going to be coming back up again. So maybe you didn't leave it in the past. Maybe you're those themes you can't leave in the past. Like if it's your job, if it's something dealing with your career, you know, you have to figure out, how am I going to make this work? Now the Six of Coins in the Rider-Waite deck usually has a person giving to what looks like maybe beggars or people who need money. So it's usually like the what do I call it? I call it the give and take card, because it's like, is somebody giving you an opportunity, or are you giving someone else an opportunity? Either way, there has to be a balance. And so this card to me is saying, in this next season, as we are coming up into the Sun in Taurus, you're going to need to balance out your possessions, but you're also going to need to balance out mentally, like how are you making this work with this new information that's going to be coming in? Are there things that you learned back in this full moon in Libra time that you need to take into the future with your job? So I think that that's really, really interesting how that card came up in the future, and it was reversed, right? So that's also signifying to me that you're going to have a little struggle. There actually might be some delays in you getting that information in the Taurus season. Maybe as we come into this next season, maybe you're going to get more information about possessions, but then there also might be this delay. So I'm going to actually use my Rider-Waite Tarot deck and do some clarifying, because I think that we definitely need to clarify with the Knight of Coins in the past, the Two of Swords in the present, and then that Six of Coins or Six of Pentacles in the future. Just want to see what information what further information can kind of clarify the cards that we already got. So, okay, so the Three of Pentacles just fell out. So this definitely has to do with work. Three of Pentacles has that energy of, how is it that we are working with others? How is it that we are instructing others, our colleagues? What information do we need to share with others? So I think that that is right in line with that Six of Pentacles, right? It's really kind of talking about in the future, what is it that we need to work on with our career, with our colleagues, and how we view life with that Three of Pentacles. So Very interesting. So let's get ready to cut the cards. And I first want to clarify the Knight of Coins. Ooh, just had a jumper. Okay. And that was the Three of Hearts. So there might be some heartache here. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is all going to be an easy season, folks, because anytime the Three of Swords, I said the Three of Hearts, the Three of Swords, anytime the Three of Swords jumps out, that means heartache. That means like really mental energy that is hard. And remember, this is the Two of Swords. So you really have like the two and then you move on to the three. So, and this is a 3 too. Look at that. So 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Hearts, 3 of Swords. It's interesting. I keep saying 3 of Hearts, 3 of Swords. Because that to me already is some symbolism coming through with the threes. Threes usually have to do with communication. And we've been talking about how the communications, especially coming into this next season, is going to be difficult with like the Gemini. You're gonna really have to balance, you know, your Libra mind with your like Aquarian Gemini self, because I really think this next period is going to be hard for a lot of people. I can feel like between the energy of the Three of Swords and that Three of Pentacles, I think it's going to be hard around people in their jobs. And I also think, I'm also getting a sense of like, people aren't going to know what to do next. Like in this Two of Swords, I can feel like around your job, many of you might be unemployed. Many of you might be looking for other jobs. Just going to be a really difficult time. I can tell you that. But let's cut the cards here and let's see what this Knight of Coins in the past is relating to. So for the Knight of Coins, all right, so we get the Ten of Swords in reverse. So the Ten of Swords, I always like to do it upright so you can at least see what it normally looks like. So the Ten of Swords are endings. This means mentally you are done. You have come to you have finished a cycle. You are finished. Like you do not need to mentally think about it anymore. And, you know, while the card looks pretty gruesome, the reality is you don't need to worry about it anymore. And so I think that especially this in reverse is saying, you know what, you're done with that. Like you don't need to keep worrying about the past. You do not need to keep worrying about how, remember we were talking about the Knight of Coins with worrying about money and worrying about jobs. Maybe that part is done. Maybe you do not even need to think about the past. Maybe the past, you can leave in the past and move on to the present. So I think that's actually a very positive card when it shows up in the past and it's in reverse. So you probably do not even need to worry about endings that occurred. So let's see what this Two of Swords in the present is signifying. Oop, that one kind of jumped and kind of didn't. So we'll leave it in there. All right, so what is this Two of Swords? Why is this Two of Swords here? All right, there we go. There's the Fool. So we are ready to start anew. We are ready to begin new adventures. We are ready to start our journey again. And so I think that that is... it makes sense coming off of that Ten of Swords from the past, right? You've done what you needed to do, and now in the present, you're ready to start again. So I would say with that clarifying the Two of Swords, it definitely is saying in this Libra time, you're going to be presented with new ideas. You're going to be presented with new situations, and they're not all going to be good. They're not all going to be bad. There's going to be this tug of war with yourself that is like, should I start something new? Is it time to start something new? And these are the questions, these are the mental challenges that you're going to face during this full moon in Libra and probably throughout the summer. There's going to be new situations, new information, new opportunities possibly. And maybe they don't have to be for the long term. Like you might have to, we're all definitely in this full energy because we've never been through a health crisis like this in our lifetime. Our country, wherever you're looking at this, I mean, your country, right, has never seen this pandemic like this where it's worldwide, health crisis. So this full energy to me is signifying everybody right now in this present day. Like we are all experiencing new, this is a new journey for all of us. And so I think that full makes perfect sense in the present. So let's do our last card here, which is going to be the Six of Coins for the future. Or Six of Pentacles, dealing with resources. Let's clarify why this Six of Coins is here. And we get the Tower card. So, but it's in reverse. So, the Tower card is a card of endings. It's a card of something in your life needs to be removed. Something is no longer needed. And the thing about the Tower card is I've heard many intuitives explain that the Tower card never takes away anything that wasn't needed, meaning like you might think that it's the worst thing as it's happening, but the reality is you didn't need it any longer. It's, it's withstood its test of time. It's gone, its full culmination, no different than this full moon that we're going into. You are done. That there no longer needs to be a worriment of what needs to be removed. And if you do not remove it from your life, the universe will take it from you. So I always tell people, do not fight and resist. If you lose a job at this time, maybe that job, it was time for you to end. While you may be looking at it from a standpoint of, oh no, what am I going to do? How am I going to feed my family? The reality is something else needed to be removed from your life, and now it's time to move on. And with this being in reverse, though, I'm almost thinking that it can be, when it's related to the Six of Coins, I'm almost now looking at these cards as, since they're together in reverse, I'm almost looking at these as, you know what? Someone may be trying to give you an opportunity. Someone might be trying to tell you it's time to end where you're at. Someone might be trying to help you gain balance by taking something away from you. There could be possibilities that in the future, there needs to be a scrubbing out, if you will, or a dissemination, like dismantling, maybe that's a better word to use, dismantling of the old, of what you thought you needed, what someone gave you maybe in the past, but now is no longer needed. There's going to be kind of like a cleansing here. And so I think that it's interesting that we got pretty much endings and beginning cards as the clarifiers. And so between the Ten of Swords, the Fool, and the Tower in reverse, there's kind of like you can see a progression. You can see where things of the past need to be left in the past, where things are going to come into maybe more clarity, but you might not get that clarity right here in this full moon in Libra, because the balance is going to take time. You're going to have to wait for information to come out. You're just going to have to wait to get more information. And I think that we're going to have to move through these uneasy times of this summer, because I think that this summer is going to bring out this Taurus energy. Taurus is going to help people with finances. It's going to help people with their feeling more positive, more grounded in their position with their job, with their family, with their home. And I think that, you know, the tower definitely is symbolizing, I think, also what's going on our earth right now. There is this cleansing out, this purging out as we just left Pisces. There's this cleansing of our earth and what no longer can serve us. Like we are seeing in our government, in our communities, in our schools, in our homes. We are embarking on a new journey, everyone. This Fool is indicative right now of the present time. This, I mean, you cannot put a more accurate depiction on where we're at right now with our livelihood, with our world. We do not know which way to turn, but we know we need balance. We know that we are starting out on a new journey. We're all doing it together. We're doing it in our homes. We're doing it with our work. We're doing it with our neighbors. You know, we're having to like live in a different way than we've ever lived before. And so I want you to keep this in mind as you traverse these waters as we go through this full moon in Libra, because this heartache up here and this Three of Pentacles along with the Queen of Cups, there's this sense of emotional balance that's needed. It's going to be hard. I mean, there's nothing sugarcoating this reading today. Like there's nothing here that I'm like, you know what? This is all going to be positive, because it's not. Like I can see that like there's going to be turmoil, there's going to be like hard decisions, there's going to be heartache. But you know what I do like is that this Six of Coins says something is going to be given to all of us. There's going to be opportunities. They might come slower than any of us want. Things have to get cleansed out though before we're going to even see those opportunities. Okay, so I think that we're gonna just have to be patient, everyone. I think that we are definitely in this together, and I think that, you know, keep practicing those self-healing, you know, this is a great time to play, you know, games with your friends. And when I say your friends, like your family members in your house, or if you're online with friends, still connect, still make those connections. Get outside, get some fresh air. If you have a lawn, go walk in the grass. Like really make this a time that you can enjoy, because if you don't, the media, the news, communications are just going to suck you in. Okay, so you have to have balance. That really is what we're dealing with here, is you're going to have to find your own balance. Okay, you all, I appreciate you joining me here on Scorpio Soul Time. I think that, you know, we are definitely embarking on a time that is, definitely is like stressful. And I hope that each of you, you know, take the time to realize that, you know, this doesn't have to be the hardest thing ever, but it is, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you want to stay positive. I'm trying to make sure you can see all the cards. You want to stay positive, but at the same time, you want to stay smart. So make sure you're doing that. Okay, y'all? All right. I appreciate you joining me. Please hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe and know when all of my next videos come out. And I will see you all later on Scorpio Soul Time. Bye.